Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Friday, May 30th at 12:07 p.m. Title of the stream is pretty simple. Y'all think too much, looking at too much data. Now, life would be simpler if there was less data, but also less informative. But, you know, the trick, the real trick is to have access to the data, but not really process as it, uh, not really make all decisions based on the fact that you have access to all data. So the data for me provides comfort. It allows me to understand where we're heading, why we're heading there, how we're heading there. It validates, confirms my theses, my ideas. But the data is a very small part of the investment process. The investment process is kind of separate and apart from the damn data. The price is almost the last thing you look at with regard to deciding to or not to take an investment. Obviously, as you mature in your investment, um, with your investment experience, rule number two actually comes into play after rule number three. In fact, rule number two is added to the three rules after rule number three. Rule number one is a very, very simple rule, and frankly, everyone I tell it to, wherever I tell it to them, they are like, yep, that makes sense. And it's very simple. And it's very short and brief because that's how rules should be. And that's how, frankly, the rules of Congress are. If you look over the IRC or various Treasury documents, it's very simple rules quite often, lengthy in verbiage and thorough, but simple in the end. So the best rules are the simplest rules because they have broad scale and scope. So follow rule number one with attributes of rule number three, and don't really think about rule number two until you become a sophisticated capital manager. Okay? Now, there's 33 people on the stream. This is the prime time to be excited about crypto, and everyone's gone. You are the few remaining. And I would hope that folks know what the rules are. I say them every stream. So if you don't know what rule number one, rule number two, or rule number three is, please ask me in the comments. I just want to see if someone doesn't know them and they really want to know them, because that means something to me. It's like you should want to know these things, and if you don't, ask. It's one of the most important things we do as a human. Um, Now this happens all the time on X for what it's worth, and it drives me fucking nuts. It's like all this shit we talk about on the stream for all these years, and then some dum dum on X is like brings up something that we literally just talked about on the stream, like, and I'm like, you follow me, but you don't follow me. Everyone wants to be spoon fed some shit. Anyway, that's probably not the best thing to say. I just don't agree with that type of approach to looking at data. Spoon fed. That's how you destroy your financial situation. It's like engaging in something and having no idea what the hell you're doing. Please tell me what to do. Jeez. That type of mentality is boggling. If you engage in that mentality, stop. Do not do that. You will hurt yourself, your friends, and your family. You will hurt everyone around you. Do not ask people to do things for you. Do things yourself. And if you can't do things yourself, learn how to do things yourself. Make tough choices. Make mistakes. Learn from your mistakes. Do better next time. You will only know how to do good if you have done bad. I have done very bad. As a result of all the things that I've lost at, I've made good decisions along the way. And all you have to do is make 51% good decisions and you get that house edge. You know what I'm talking about. All right. Data. Data will drive you nuts. Like if you're looking at, oh, Bitcoin's going down from $110,000 to 105. What if it goes down further? Maybe I should wait. I should wait for the price to go down. I could buy it when the price is low, and then the price could go high, and I could sell it when it's high. And I bought low and I sold high. That sounds good, doesn't it? This is literally the stuff that most people think, and frankly, I understand because I have thought that way at one point in my life as well. Now, considering the purpose of the three rules is to bypass all the malfunctions of us as humans. Purpose of the three rules is to give us a process that says what everyone else does is either wrong or myopic or just a waste of time. So if the price of Bitcoin is going from 110 to 105 to 100 to 95 to 90 or whatever the hell the local bottom is, okay, which rule? Is it rule number one? Is it rule number two? Or is it rule number three? It's none of the rules. It has nothing to do with any of the rules. Execute rule number one. You're looking at too much data. You're looking at intraday, intra-week data. And that's what people don't get. If you look at Bitcoin on the 6 months chart, if you came back in 1 year, if you bought at the top, all right, fine, that's one, two, two and a half, and into the third year, if you bought in 17, the top in 17, you had to wait almost 3 years. Fun fact, 2022 was a $16,000 print on Bitcoin. 3 years later, it went over 100. So if you bought here in 17 at the top of the candle body close at like 13,000, you had to wait until 2020 to get back to 13,000. Oh, 17 to 2023 years. Oh, 3 years seems like such a long time. Wrong, wrong. Break your brain's programming. These are short time frames, 3 years. And if you're stuck in this, how can I make money by the end of the week? You're going to destroy your capital. Everyone loses. Everyone loses. The majority lose. Don't be the majority. Don't be a loser. You understand how I'm using that terminology? A loser is a person that loses, and you lose because you made bad choices. Short time preference significantly increases the odds of losing. Increase your time preference significantly. If you are in your 20s, you could afford to increase your time preference to a decade or more. If in your 30s, I would argue the same is the case. Increase your time preference and not just significantly increase your odds of success. You're basically shifting the odds of success significantly in your favor. You're going to be successful if you just follow the three rules. You're going to be successful if you increase your time preference to 10 years. Because at the end of 10 years, will you or will you not own more assets by executing rule number one? By the end of 10 years, following rule number one, own more assets, you will, in fact, say it with me now, own more assets. All right, now you got a diverse set of assets. Great, cool. Separate conversation, what kind of assets? It's not, that's not the point. Point is you want to own more assets. This is how you succeed. Own more, buy more. At what price? That's not part of the equation. Just buy it. Now, obviously, don't blow your bank account. So that may I don't want I that has nothing to do with the three rules. That's just freaking common sense. That's like you get a paycheck on Friday and Obviously, America frickin' spends all their money on a credit card. They literally spend all their money before they even got their money. So the point is, if you make $1,000 at the end of the week and you got $500 worth of bills and you got $500 worth of excess capital, don't spend all your money. The three rules isn't going to fix shit budgeting. And I'm not here to pick your poison with budget social media guys. What's his name? Dave Ramsey and other folks. What's his name? Justin Hammer? No, uh, that's from Iron Man. But the Hammer dude who annihilates people on in video form. He can't fix a broken budget. You can't fix shit budget. Well, I can't fix shit budget. You guys gotta fix your own shit budgets. Fix your budget. Don't spend all your money. And then once you have your shit figured out, execute rule number one. Skip rule number two if you're new to investing. Probably even skip rule number three too. Rule number one, own more assets. I mean, that's it. That's what I could tell every 20-year-old. Just own more assets. And then they're like, what assets? All right, fine. Buy NASDAQ, buy S&P, buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, buy Solana. I mean, literally, if you have an extra two, three, $400 a week, you're buying like 20, $30 a week, unless you're living at home. And then maybe you could afford to invest the way I've told people to invest. Stay at home with your family, make 50 grand a year, invest 40 grand of it per year, and check back when you're 30 and you're a millionaire. Because that's what the CAGR is. That's what the compound average growth rate indicates. With a 30% CAGR, which is a large number, it's a Stan Druckenmiller level of success, but that's pretty much probably what Bitcoin's going to be, kind of, sort of, maybe 15 to 30%, 20 to 30%, somewhere in there over the next years. And in 3, 4, 5 years' time, you're not just going to be buying shit, one thing, you're going to be diversifying. You're going to be buying more assets. So you're going to have greater odds of reaching that 30% CAGR. But if you invest 40 grand a year for 10 years, you don't have 400 grand. You got a lot of capital when you're 30 years old. And dare I say, you follow rule number three, got a lot of capital that's paying a lot of cash flow, that's paying a pretty decent salary by the time you're 30. How do I reach these kids? Go to a trade school, get 50 to 75 grand a year, but stay at home and from your 20 to 30 and just do yourself a favor and invest like 80% of it. Sacrifice your 20s, and by the time you're 30, you'll be sitting on $1 to $3 million, producing $150,000 a year in income just by the assets that you own. That's the math, and the math checks out vis-a-vis compound average growth rate. King is the only one. Digibyte, how much does it pay? What kind of business is being executed? Does it provide credit? Is it any of the five businesses? Foreign exchange, credit, derivatives, liquidity financing, or liability printing? Digibyte is a gas token, just like a Bitcoin, just like an Ethereum, a Litecoin, whatever. These are gas tokens. To do what? All right. You got to figure that part out because the whole point is Digibyte does not fall into the three rules. I mean, it falls into rule number one, own more assets, but it's not an asset on the macro stage. And you're not using it to pay for smart contract interactions. It's not like there's a financial economy that requires an EVM network. Now, obviously, if Digibyte has a fork for as the EVM network, but that doesn't help because that's what Syscoin did a long time ago, and EVM and Rolux, and they are on the defensive, relatively speaking. Although I retain a very high opinion of what Syscoin has done, they are not comparable to clearly mainnet. They're not comparable to L2s. They're not comparable to alt L1s like an Avalanche or not nearly a Solana. They're microscopic, even compared to Arbitrum or Optimism. So No, it's not on the radar. There's no financial economy, there's no economics, there's nothing investable. You want to treat it as a collectible or a complete moonshot, a prayer, mm, something out of left field. That's cool. Not a primary investment. Simple as that. Hey, Pusher, much pleasure. Harshal, good morning. Harshal, I just saw the news that someone called Trump a taco. What is it? It's because he's not following through on his trade. I don't remember what the damn acronym is. Are there any bad outcomes because of that reporter? No, I don't know. Who gives a shit about politics? I can't stand these stories. They drive me nuts. It's all noise. In the end, if they create deflation and they do tariffs and they slow spending and inflation comes down, which is either disinflation or straight out deflation, they're going to need to drop interest rates significantly, and they're going to need to probably stimulate the economy to stop a downward trend of inflation because they need the growth. You just had a 6.7% deficit. We're deficit spending 6.7%. That means the inflation rate, technically, the inflation rate the inflation rate would need to account for the gap between growth, like GDP, and the deficit spending. So if GDP or if year over year growth in the economy is at like 3%, and with deficit spending at 6.7%, you need an inflation rate of 3.7%. So that's when Besson says we're going to grow our way out of this. Yeah, that means you have to grow faster than your debt, which means you need growth plus inflation to account for the deficit. Otherwise, your deficit just grows and grows and grows. Oh dear Lord, this market's going higher. What's a bad outcome? See, the judgment of a bad versus a good outcome. Executing rule number one, own more assets. There's no concept of bad or good. In the end, you own more assets. This is kind of like what people say, one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin, but we're not hodlers. We have a different mentality. Hodling is a concept of like buying and like hoping and praying or knowing that the price is going to go up in the future. I don't give a rat's ass about price. I care about executing rule number one, own more assets. Now, it's my understanding and belief. And the reason I created the rules, because rule number one is highly likely to produce favorable financial conditions for yourself in the future. So you understand there's the difference. There's a difference there. People are investing, treating Bitcoin as an investment or what have you, and they're like, oh, it's going to go up in price in the future. No, that doesn't leave you in a good psychological position. The appropriate perspective to have is, are you owning more assets over time? And the odds are by owning more assets over time, you will be in a better financial situation in the future. So you're not thinking about the future price because that's an expectation. And an expectation is what fucks with our heads. You don't want unreasonable expectations. You want lowered expectations. You don't even want to think about the expectations. You want to think about your responsibility. All you have to do is execute rule number one, own more assets over time. Time, markets, and understanding the reality of macroeconomics does the rest. Let time do the work. Fugu Masterclass in Capital Management. Let's begin. Always a pleasure. Peter P. Good morning, Cap. Spritz is now available in my country. Gonna learn how to spend my Thursday salary in style. Spritz is just exciting. I look forward to that card. I look forward to. I need. I need a couple. I need two cards. Kind of have one, but I'm gonna have to figure that part out. Point is, once you figure out a capacity to spend, you're like, how do I make more income? And you're like, oh, why don't I buy income? Why don't I buy a salary? And you're like, all right, fine. I can't really afford much of a salary. If I invest $100 and I'm making 10% of the money, I'm making $10 a year. What the hell am I buying on $10 a year? But then you do some simple math and you're like, all right, if I invest $100,000, I'm making $10,000 a year, which is like 800 bucks a month. So that's pretty cool. Where the hell do I get 10 grand? All right, fine. That's another story. That's the next part of the equation. Where do I get 10 grand? All right, just interestingly enough, that you make an extra $500 a month after you pay for whatever you pay and you're in your 20s and you're like, mom and dad, instead of paying rent at $2,500 a month, I'm going to move back home and then maybe I can invest $1,000 a month. All right, in 10 months, there's your 10 grand. Oh, okay. And then after 100 months, there's your 100 grand. And 100 months is about 2 years. Okay. These are reasonable numbers, 2 years. First 100 grand is the hardest. Move back home because it was stupid to move out in the first place. Paying $2,000 a month in rent. Yeah, that was a great fucking idea. It's not a good idea. And I tell that to every cousin I have that moves out in their 20s. It's the biggest mistake kids will make. Why? Because you want to be independent from your parents? No, you still have a shitload to learn from your parents, hopefully. I mean, obviously, that's another story, depending on the parental situation. I'm not here to judge people's individual situations, and I can appreciate shit situations, but I would hope parents are still capable of teaching into their 20s, into their children's 20s. I sure as hell know that I will be teaching my daughters for the rest of my life. I know most parents probably are not mentally capable or qualified or doing anything like that. But I don't know. Who am I to judge? I have a high opinion and hopes for people. I'm an eternal optimist, and I hope make parenting great again or some shit like that. Parents should always be there for their kids, helping them, educating them, teaching them all these experiences we learn over the years in our lives. The parents should be the most valuable resource kids have for experience and knowledge, and anything less is deficiency in parenting, in my opinion. Any keeping to the rules requires discipline. Biggest FUD for big bitty is quantum compute these days. I confirm quantum compute is way a ways away, so I say it's irrelevant though. If they'd hard fork it and mod algorithms. You don't think about that because in the end, if it fails, then a big chunk of the future of finance fails, and traditional finance is screwed, and then it's a Morton Joe anyway and Mad Max. Say, might as well build a bunker and invest in evaporated milk cans and canned green beans. So what the heck? So that's why that part of the equation is very simple. That's why rule number one exists, because to hedge your bet on rule number one is canned green beans and bottled water. Probably canned water. You need water that'll last. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I've had those types of streams where the only hedge to rule number one is is prepping, just MREs and bunkers and stuff. I don't know what QRL is. Define the acronym, and I'm more than happy to give an opinion if I have any idea what it is. Why does daily monthly close price matter to some people? It means everything, in my opinion. I understand it's useful to always measure the same long term, but TA Bros on Hype, short term is for trading because you could have an intra-week spread of between 105,000 on Bitcoin and 110, and that's 5 grand. And if you lever that 10 to 1, you can make some nice money. But what on a monthly close, if you have a break above 110 and the odds are it's going from 110 to like 150 and you're running on 10, 20x leverage, you, what's the odds of revisiting 110 after you break 110 after like a 2 year consolidation at 110? All right. So monthly close gives you potentially greater confluence, suggesting a longer term move above or below a particular price point. Shorter term is significantly less, contributes significantly less. And this is especially the case with moving averages, especially as you go up on the time frame for moving averages. So that's why when you look at shit like this, well, frankly, the guppies are moving averages because the dollar is still not below the monthly 100 SMA. Once you breach below that, we haven't been below that since September of 2021, heading towards the upside, and we broke below it in November of 2020. Now, if we recall correctly, what was occurring, what was setting up in November of 2020? It was very bullish until December. And then January came along in 2021 and everything went parabolic. It went parabolic because he went below the 100 SMA on the monthly. This 100 SMA on the monthly, things get absolutely weird. And fun fact, look how we zoom out here. You, you know where all of crypto's activity was? It's right here. This is everything. It's the last decade. This goes back to the first bull run in 2016 and 2017, and here's 2020 and 21, and we have yet to experience a bull market post 2022. The TA bros on X are traders that are young, inexperienced, or old experienced predators. It's one of the two. Old experienced predator sounds bad, but I don't mean that kind of predator. I mean a financial predator. They that's what trading is. It's the taking of money. The investing is convincing someone to give you money, but trading is taking other people's money, believe it or not. Um, so, when you hear people talking about hourlies and dailies, they're doing stupid trades, and the odds are they're doing small money. And if they're doing big money like that guy who lost 100 mil on the timeline, that's fucking stupid. That's so stupid. So stupid. I, I just don't understand the psychology. I don't understand how people go through their day with their emotions and what they think and what they do. It just doesn't register with me, it doesn't process. Assume, good morning. Always a pleasure. Oh, QRL is a quantum persistent ledger. It's a little bit like ETH, a little bit like BTC. Is it, so it's not ETH, it's not BTC, it's something else. Yeah. Probably should settle back and use like Ethereum for DA, data availability, or eigenlayer or something. So it should probably tie back to where all the money is because QRL, if it's like a Bitcoin, there's no economy. There's no Bitcoin economy. You want to go over to analytics and you see where the economics land. You go to stable coins. As always, there's $247 billion in crypto land, which is microscopic. If the United States government has anything to do or say about it, this is going to be trillions of dollars sooner rather than later. Vast majority of the capital is on Ethereum mainnet. If it loads, you see it loading up here. That's great. DeFi Llama, you are always slow to load when I need you the most. Geez, $122 billion on Ethereum mainnet. And the second runner-up is Tron at 77 bill, and there's the DeFi on Tron is not the same as the DeFi everywhere else, so we don't consider it. Next runner-up is $11 billion. So the biggest market outside of Ethereum mainnet is $11.5 billion compared to $122 billion. You're talking about 10, 11. You're talking about 90% less, 90% smaller. That is small enough to say the vast majority of all financial activity in the crypto markets is on Ethereum mainnet. No matter what some dude, as Tape Pusher said, so what TA bro, what some bro on the timeline says about cryptocurrency, all the money's on mainnet. Everyone else is playing games on the other networks. Small, relatively meaningless. The biggest investments are and will continue to be on mainnet. Just by dollars. The inspection of dollars tells us everything. Simple as that. Where we at with Sonic? I just want to look because that is a hell of a pair. 503 mil, still down week over week, 6.53%. Do we have any green? All right, fine. A little OP green. This is so negligible. Come on. Where are we at with like 5, 10, 20 bill on OP and Arbitrum? 3 bill. All right, where's the bill? And give me a couple more bill. This is big numbers, by the way. 507. Big numbers. Always had 3 bill for quite some time now. But it's a relatively decaying economic situation. You could look at the volume, and volumes have been significantly down. Um, is what it is. If you go to all, stablecoin is up and to the right across the entire space. And that's the biggest takeaway because you first need currency to create monetary velocity, and velocity is what creates transaction fees, what creates volume. What creates that little guy on the shoulder of noobs saying, got to buy that, buy it now. That's what gets people's adrenaline pumping when something's up 20, 30, 40, 50%. It's an increase in dollar liquidity because how do you buy something? Ah, dollars. You need money. You need cash. That's how you buy things. So when the number of dollars in the ecosystem goes up, that is a precursor to prices going up. Very, very simple. ETH L1 has big monies. ARB1 did a nice fat surge this week. Yeah, but it's going to take some time. Even mainnet it's 250 something billion, 258 billion, 247 billion. It's small. You've had this for a while. When this thing goes parabolic, it should just get weird. But this is Confluence confirming the narrative. That's separate and apart from a mania. Who gives a fuck about a mania? If this thing over the next 2 years crawls its way to $2 trillion, it's gonna I would say that's healthier, and everyone would say that's healthier than some stupid mania where you get a bubble that forces $2 trillion to enter this ecosystem. In any case, dollars up and to the right is just Confluence suggesting that we have a confirmed narrative of that a financial ecosystem exists, an emerging market of emerging markets as we've defined it. Let's say the monthly close. Why is the price on that one day out of 31? Because it carries more weight. Not even the monthly close. I like it from a level standpoint. So levels are greater than moving averages are greater than trends. Trend structures mean little compared to the MAs, and MAs mean little compared to levels. Take a look at Bitcoin. You know why the levels are important and why MAs as well? No, MAs less, and that's why levels are the most important because everyone looks at them. Bitcoin, stupid. Who cares about Bitcoin? If you want to understand Bitcoin, you look at the dollar. So this is where we are. So it's the 30th, 31. There's 31 days in May. Okay. So, well, this is sure weakness because we had a big run in April, pushing below the monthly 100. And we had a decent bounce, but look at that close. Look at that rejection of the 50 SMA. So we got a pinch between the 50 and the 100. So this is one heck of a region right here trying to figure its shit out. So for instance, you got to close. If somehow we close straight down, if you close below the 100 SMA, that's Confluence suggesting that the 100 SMA has a potential to breach to the downside, continuation to the downside. And if you go over to the weekly, you'll notice you don't have that information. You get a close on the weekly, but why are you sitting here? Why is this the level? Why are we sitting? We're sitting here because people also look at the moving average relative to the monthly, and we're literally sitting on the monthly 100. So you want that monthly close below the 100, and then you start to see a push down from a weekly perspective. Longer time frame is just a better chart to look at. Allows you to have a longer perspective on where markets are versus where they're heading. Allows you to have a longer dated opinion about the structure of markets and what they're doing and why they're doing them. The way I look at it is from a longer term perspective. I'll take like the 6 month. I'll be like, I need some more data. All right. What I wish I could have. I wish I could have the 6 month MAs on a monthly chart. That's what I wish I could have because I want the granularity of the monthly data, but with longer duration moving averages. I wonder if I could do that so with these pre-built tools so I don't have to modify them. I think I can. Yeah, because I could just put multiples in here. So it's a 10 on the weekly. So I would do, if you want a 10 on the monthly on a weekly chart, multiply by 4. And then the next one is the 50, and you want the 50, um, it's by 4 because weekly to monthly. Okay, that's interesting. Cancel. Okay, I should do that. So if we take the weekly, here, let's do that real quick for the fun of it. 40, 200, 400, 800. There. So here's monthly moving averages on a weekly chart. They have more data, but the monthly MAs. That's pretty cool. And that's exactly what we see. If you go over to, oh, I already adjusted it, and the adjusted um, indicator is being applied at the monthly level too. But these are monthly MAs on a weekly chart. And you do the same thing. You just multiply by 30. That's about right. That's just too much data. I don't need it. I don't go down to the daily. It'll drive you nuts. It'll drive you absolutely nuts. You got to get below this 100. That's why everything is stalled. Look how long it took back in 2020. These were weeks. How many weeks did things stagnate in 2020? Vividly remember these, and then it broke down, and that's when everything went parabolic. And it went parabolic twice. How do you know everything went parabolic twice? Look at Bitcoin. Look at the Bitcoin. It went parabolic twice. Look at the Bitcoin, and then look at the dollar. Look at the Bitcoin, and look at the dollar. It went parabolic twice. Para, come on, you can't make this shit up. It's like literally spelled out right here and right here, right here and right here. Say it with me now. It's right there on the charts, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate all of you. It is a Friday, May 30th at 12:45 p.m. I thank each and every one of you for joining me today. 137 people made it to the end of the stream, and you are all now a little bit more rational because of it. I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Keep calm, cool, collected. Don't rely on too much data. Data will drive you nuts, but also be rational. So data is also important. What matters is a balance. Everything in life is about balance. So try and find some balance over the weekend, and I will see you guys and gals later next week. Until then, peace.